Hey, welcome to Facts at Five. I'm Michael Clark, and I'm here at the LTV Media Center in Wainscott, New York, with my weekly guest, East Hampton Town Supervisor Peter Van Scoyoc. Hello, Peter.
Hello, Michael. How are you today?
I am doing very well. I suppose the big news, of course, is that since we last spoke, because we didn't have an answer at that point, is the vaccination rollout here in East Hampton this past Saturday over at the former CDCH building here in Wainscott. And I was there. And in my opinion, it seemed to go really well. You, David Lease, and your staff were running the show. I mean, it was a feel-good day, that's for sure. What were your feelings about how the whole thing rolled out?
Well, Michael, you're right. It really was a feel-good day, and I think everything went very well. The county was very impressed. They had their chief of IT there helping us with the state system, CDMS system, just for our first run through. Scott Massillon, and I have to say he was fantastic. But we had over 40 volunteers to make sure the show ran smooth. We had everybody from pharmacists and doctors to nurse practitioners, people, they were drawing vaccine, administering vaccine. We had local EMTs. We had teachers. We had all sorts of people from all sectors volunteering. We had a translator on site, actually a couple of translators. Very good reviews from all involved. So it's really exciting to be able to have vaccine actually being administered in town. And we did 332 doses. And 3 weeks from that date, those folks will come back and get their second doses. We've been working to get a more steady supply of vaccine from the county. The county's vaccine is pretty much only earmarked for 1B essential workers. That would be firefighters, teachers, grocery store clerks, and deli workers. For now, we hope to be able to work through some different avenues to secure vaccine for seniors, people over 65 with comorbidities or underlying health conditions. We're making progress on that. Again, the vaccine is very limited. There's going to be, Friday, the Most Holy Trinity. There's a pop-up site as part of the governor's health equity task force. We'll be administering, I think, 250 doses here in town again. So we have been able to secure vaccine here in town. We know we need a lot more. We know how frustrated people are with the registration process, and it's very much hit or miss. The distribution is very limited.
That was one of the questions that I've heard, because when people heard that the vaccination site was there and that it was up and it was a great, of course, everybody wanted in,
right.
But they said, well, it wasn't available on the state
right.
Site where you would normally go to. So what's the process there? Maybe you could explain to the folks.
Yeah, the process is, again, as I said, the county vaccine that we received had to be earmarked for those particular workers, and it's a closed registration,
right?
Given the fact that it's a limited supply. So we did the outreach. We worked with FRES, the county FRES, fire rescue response system. We reached out to all our local fire departments to try and finish vaccinating all of those frontline essential workers. We reached out to all the local school districts, asked them to provide names, and then obviously, 650, 750 teachers within East Hampton's borders. We had to ask that they then further prioritize based on those most at risk. So they gave us back lists of those over 65 or with comorbidities, underlying health issues, or a combination of the two. It's a start. We would love to be able to, keep running both the 1B and essential workers. And I really want to be able to get vaccine to our seniors, many of whom have been literally isolated and shut in for nearly a year now. We did manage to get our senior transportation bus drivers vaccinated so that when the time comes, we'll be able to transport those seniors back to our senior programs, nutrition and whatnot. So that's my goal, is to really expand the amount of vaccine being distributed within the town. And our approach was, that we build our own vaccination center, follow the CDC guidelines, state Department of Health guidelines. So we were the very first town, and are still the only town in Suffolk County to have a standalone vaccination site built, ready to go.
Yeah, it was great. It was so impressive. And as you know, I was a volunteer, and thank you for not putting me on garbage detail. I appreciate that, Peter. And my role was the vaccinator's assistant, because obviously you're still not trusting me with the sharp objects, but that's okay. And one of the vaccinators in the room with me was a retired doctor from New York City, and he was amazed at how structured the whole thing was and how well thought out the entire setup was. And he felt that if we had the vaccine from the feds, that we could easily, at that particular site there, bang out 1,000 a day was the number he threw out there, which would be quite amazing. But it just shows where the roadblocks are. No one's fault. It's where they are. We can't get the stuff. We're ready. Give us the stuff. And so, along those lines, what are the future possibilities, Peter? What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, ideally, I'd love for us to be able to schedule appointments, to have a steady stream of vaccine and schedule appointments, and just continue to vaccinate everyone within our community who's eligible, as early as they can be done. And,
right.
We can do this. I've said that all along. We have an amazing community. I have to give a shout out to Dr. Gail Schoenfeld, who acted as our medical director. She was phenomenal in helping us plan. We had Dr. George Dempsey also there for consultations and helping out. The Healthcare Foundation with Sheila Rogers. A special thanks to Thomas Sessa, who helped us on the IT medical data side and with logistics. And Councilman David Lease did an amazing job getting that building ready with buildings and grounds. All the staff in buildings and grounds. If you could have seen that building and its condition, 4 weeks ago, and then seen it on Saturday, you wouldn't recognize it. It just was a phenomenal transformation to a derelict building that had just undergone a mold remediation the previous year ago, summer, and no ceiling tiles, no lights. We had everything from pharmacy grade refrigeration to backup generator, hooked up internet, phone lines, all, and our IT department scrambled and put all those stations together. And then all the wonderful community volunteers who, just signed up early on when I first put out the call, late last year and early this year for volunteers, thinking that, we would get to this day. And we had an amazing outpouring. And when I then again asked for volunteers, we finally had to shut the site down to register for volunteers because it was completely overwhelmed. We became overwhelmed with phone calls here in my office, people wanting to help. So it's a tribute really to our community. It's amazing what you can get done when everybody's pulling together in the same direction.
Yeah, we talk about it every week, Peter. I know, but it's an amazing place to live for that very reason. Not just in the pandemic, for somebody's cat gets hurt or something, and there's an outpouring for that or something, and just for everything. And I think the moment for me, while we were working in the thing, I was kind of inputting information on the laptop, and your IT people did do a great job. It was incredible, and it goes right into the New York site, and then the magic happens, and it's all done. But I think there was one older woman who, after she got the vaccine, she started crying, and because she was so happy that she was able to get the vaccine. I mean, people, that's how important this is to so many people. And, to see it, on a one-to-one level, of course, the older firefighter guys come in, the old Bonneker type of firefighter guy. Yeah, sure, put it in whatever arm you want, or, whatever. But, the frontline grocery workers and the deli workers that were, coming in, and a lot of, people of color and that type of thing, knowing that they mattered, and it, what they do makes a difference in our community. that they're put up there at the very top for what they're doing. It really meant a lot for everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a scenario that was repeated throughout the day, tears of joy
Yeah.
shed by both the volunteers and by those getting vaccine. Such a heartwarming thing. And I think a lot of people didn't realize how much they had internalized their anxiety over about being vulnerable to this disease. And, once the dose was given, it's just the realization that, there was hope, and just a huge burden lifted off people's shoulders. I want to see that repeated again and again and again throughout our community, and to help everyone get vaccine as soon as possible. So I remain hopeful. I keep, pressing through my channels to get more vaccine. That's priority number one for me for the foreseeable future. We obviously have other important issues that we need to deal with and things to take care of. We'll need to, get sand back on the beach prior to this summer season. We taken a hit, particularly in Montauk. So that there's other work to do, but this is, I think, the most important and frankly the most gratifying part of what I'm working on.
Yeah, again, it was a good thing, and I'm prepared to be back there on March the 6th when everybody that was vaccinated come back for their second dose of, and it was the Pfizer vaccine all along that day, and it was really good. So obviously that is the big news for today, the big thing to talk about. But what else is going on? Anything else, Peter, that you'd like to mention to our folks before we sign off for the day? We got a couple of minutes here.
Sure. Well, I did just mention that we'll have to start making plans and go out for bids for sand replenishment in downtown Montauk. We have to have that beach restored prior to May 15th every year. So we need to locate source of sand and what that's going to cost. That's somewhat time consuming. We had a kickoff of the Montauk Community Waste Water Treatment Committee. That committee had been somewhat dormant while we had gone off to RFP to hire consulting engineers to help develop a map and plan and help the town through the process of creating a wastewater district. Many of the downtown businesses in Montauk particularly don't have room for upgrades of their septic systems. They're antiquated. In some cases, they're out of compliance. Many cases with the regulations from the EPA and county health department. So that, it's really important that we put together a community waste treatment plan and district for downtown Montauk and some of the surrounding areas, the docks, the transportation area, and even ditch plains, all of whom contribute to the degradation of water quality in Montauk. And there really isn't again, an on-site solution, so community systems necessary. So that committee was reinvigorated yesterday. We had our first meeting. Kay Tyler, who's the executive director of Montauk Chamber, is going to be the chair, and Laura Tooman, who's the executive director of Concerned Citizens for Montauk Environmental Group, is co-chair. We have Leo Daunt, who's a local motel owner. A young man is a secretary, and it's a really good and diverse group of local stakeholders and residents. So I'm encouraged by that. We're continuing with our work on improving wireless communications. Wireless committee met yesterday as well. We are in the process of getting code revisions for our wireless code, bring them up to date. They're well out of date. 23 years ago, I think, was the last time they were updated. If you think about what's changed in technology and regulation since then, it's significant. So we're rewriting the whole code. And, there are a lot of other efforts we're still pursuing, building a new senior center. There's the hospital emergency room. These are big projects, but are very important to our community. Obviously, the pandemic's proven just how important it would be to have a local emergency room here and to be able to provide our residents with better healthcare access right here within the town. It also will dramatically cut down the time that first responders, ambulance corps spend on the roads, particularly in the summer, just trying to get back from a call. So that will, increase their availability to answer calls, particularly during peak times. So, there are a lot of different things that we're continuing to work on that are important. We're continuing to look at properties for acquisition. I think there's some pretty significant announcements that will be coming forward about property acquisitions in the near future. So I look forward to being able to, let the public know about those and then hear from the public about what we plan to acquire. So there are a lot of good things happening, and it's happening all at once, Michael.
I know it is. I know it is, Peter. But thank you for taking a couple of minutes to keep us all updated here in the town of East Hampton. We appreciate you coming on every week. So until next week, we'll say goodbye, folks, and see you soon.
Appreciate the opportunity, Michael, and stay well, everybody. And hopefully we'll soon be able to announce more vaccine in the community.
Thank you, Peter.
Be well.